Today in the crypto space, we see Bitcoin taking a hit and coming down to lower levels, back to 95,200, down approximately 2.5%, give or take, and Ethereum right around 2,600, also coming down approximately 3%. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are also pushing down. However, there are still some good gainers like Cardano, Caspa, Tau, and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about Bitcoin, guys. Bitcoin at the current moment is testing very important zones, and of course, as a leading indicator, if Bitcoin falls, guys, expect more red to come. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here, because really, what a day. A very unfortunate day, seeing Bitcoin showing a bit of strength in the last, 24 hours perhaps, was great. We woke up to a good market. We woke up to some pumps. The market was looking healthy. And then as the morning progressed, we started to see, a pullback and bigger pullbacks, a bit of a Binance fund, what's going on with Binance and their holdings. And we'll talk about that tonight on the live stream. Of course, we'll talk about some news and so on. And then we had a bit of a meeting happening where, things were a little bit blah, 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 like I like to say, just a little bit of a lot of nothing, a lot of neutral, but the market didn't react neutral. In fact, I think that this reaction is based on the Binance fund. We can see that Bitcoin is coming down at very important levels, for that matter. We'll talk about the levels in a second. I want to focus on Bitcoin today. I'm not going to look at any alts, because Bitcoin right now is definitely the one dominating our market right now. Because if Bitcoin falls, guys, it's not going to look good here. ETH is down 3%, so we're already assuming that Bitcoin is showing dominance, unfortunately, as we see the market cap go sideways, still within the structure, but this dip brought it down 3.6% with very low volume. Unfortunate, okay? So it's a recipe right here that the market is stale, the market is hesitant, the market is uncertain, and we're not getting volume, and that's an indication that the market is not willing to get active here and participate, which is also has to be understood, because these pumps at the end of the day are low volume moves, or even the pumps and the dumps for that matter. Right now, this dump is a very low volume move. It's not a major volume induced move, which means that we could get a bounce at any moment and reclaim previous highs. Now, of course, there's a bit of hopium that we have to consider, but as you can see, the market right now is taking a dip, and some at more critical levels. For example, we do see like some of them are making higher lows still. Chainlink, AVAX, SUI, because of yesterday's pump, we were able to move in a good direction, and it's a lot of projects were doing pretty good until the beginning of the morning. And Litecoin did very well yesterday as well, but the ones that didn't really get a good pump and all of a sudden are getting this reversal, in fact, are testing much lower levels. And you can see hyper liquid, because it didn't really pump yesterday too much. You can see that it's coming back down to a level that is very close to the previous lows, which is not really good, because if we continue with this negativity and Bitcoin keeps on falling, hyper liquid is going to show a bit of weakness if it doesn't hold its bottom. Its bottom is way too close, and doesn't give enough wiggle room for the price to fall. That's concerning, obviously, because we don't want to break structure. We don't want to come down for another lower low, because technically speaking, as we speak, it's a bit of a retracement that could turn into a rounded bottom and then start moving to the upside. And this is what was looking great yesterday. Ethereum was looking good, and all the altcoins were looking great on the 4-hour, and then quickly we got this rejection that is causing the market to look pretty bad again. So again, rounded tops, big get inverse Adam and Eve, V rejection and rounded top, could be a case, something to look at. Uniswap right now is doing pretty good, but still down 1.7%, but doing okay given the circumstances. Is doing okay, still pushing. BitTensor still looking good as well. It's up 6% for the day, but you can see it's still moving to the upside, which is healthy. But those are random anomalies, guys. Right now, the majority of the market is not looking the greatest, right? There's very few projects that are looking that strong. Caspa's looking okay. It's up 5%, but really it's not really doing that much. If you think about it, really, what did it do? It barely broke above the previous high here on the 1 hour fractal, right? So we got to understand that we're still waiting on bigger moves to the upside. And I'll show you exactly why I say this. It's all because Bitcoin right now is not looking the greatest, and people are going to get risk off. People are going to start looking at the way Bitcoin looks, maybe Ethereum, and ultimately say, you know what, am I going to stay in my altcoin positions given the fact that history has shown that when Bitcoin falls, altcoins fall a lot more. And this is how we've been seeing the Bitcoin dominance rise so much, is because altcoins in general, comparison to Bitcoin, haven't been doing that great. Okay, so just keep this in mind. As we keep on going down these fractals, guys, as you can see, they're very similar. We're trying to hold our bottom. We're trying to hold the roundedness. We're trying to make higher highs and higher lows. We're trying our best. And of course, a lot of hopium is floating around right now in this market because time's are ticking and we're going sideways and there's nothing really interesting. This has been a very, very boring bull run. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's begin by looking at Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin, the way it is right now, positioned on the daily, is not a good look, right? The daily, as we speak, is still pushing to the downside. We're going to the bottom of the range on the daily, which means 92k. Is that very possible? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So as you guys know, I need to have a thesis, both bearish and bullish. Whenever I'm trading, I'm always focusing on both sides. I want to be able to pivot regardless of what happens in the market. Now, I'm still on the daily, very neutral and somewhat bullish neutral. The reason being is, as we continue going sideways, yes, this starts to, be a structure that we can assume becomes a continuation, where we start to see this impulse sideways distribution, and maybe we get a full reset to the point that we start continue to the upside. And what I mean by reset is that maybe we start to see momentum get oversold. And that's concerning, guys. And that's concerning. And I made that very clear that if you get into any long positions, like I suggested yesterday, the market, especially on the live stream, everything looked great on the 1 hour and on the 4 hour. But I made it very clear that if you're going to get into any positions, that you have to keep in mind that the daily time frame is still going against you, even though you might find some bullish setups on lower time frames. The daily is going against any bullishness on lower time frames, and we're getting continuation to the downside here on the daily. And if you can see the momentum, it looks like it just wants to come down and get oversold and finally just dump. And if it does, we are very, we have a lot of hopium there right around 92. If we can hold this level, epic, great. At least we can hold it again, because we've came down to these level 92k before. We came there many times, right? Lots of times, and got bounces and stayed within the range. However, guys, every time we came down here, we weren't oversold. So we are waiting and anticipating that what is going to happen. And behind our mind, we're thinking, what is going to happen when the momentum finally gets oversold? By the way, that's the purple line. What's going to happen to the Bitcoin price when we get below 30%? Are we going to fall to, 92? Most likely, almost certain. Are we going to come down to 86? Possible. And then through the volume gap down to 77, maybe as low as 70, possible as well. Hunt this liquidity looking left. If you know what I'm talking about, it's this structure right here, right around 70k. Do we start hunting this volume right here? Could be the case. That's a very bearish scenario, of course, but you can see the volume gap is definitely present for that to happen. So what I'm doing, like I've been saying for the last week or two, is right now my head is down. My head is down. I am accumulating. I'm raising capital. I am preparing to deploy some bigger bags as we fall. I want to prepare for a potential dip if it happens, right? If it doesn't happen, so what? Ultimately, a nice V recovery, a bounce, we get into all-time highs, price discovery, all good. No worries. But imagine falling down to this level and not having the cash to deploy. and DCA and buy those projects that you really want to buy into at good discounts, right? That's the major concern right now. So for me, raise capital, watch the charts, be prepared, do the research, study, get those deep dives going on, because ultimately when the price does fall, you want to have a buy list that you're bullish about, right? That you're ready to deploy, no thinking, just action, right? So I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. Now, of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't think that we're going to come down to 70. Obviously, it's a game of probability, guys. I don't know, but we are in a bit of a downtrend here, and if we break below 92, guys, anything is possible. Okay, so still we have some levels, and this is why I put this, dotted line. We still need to keep this in mind, that if we break below, measure and move, the depth of this structure is pretty much going to take us down to 77, and the volume gap is clearly there. Okay, now as I mentioned, EMAs are facing down here on the trend oscillator, red histogram bars, and blue expansion is full force. Red expansion's coming in very bearish on the daily, and the daily gonna get oversold, so we got to prepare for that. Now, what I mentioned yesterday, okay, let's talk about that for a second, because I got into some long positions, and I woke up and they were deep in the green. They were doing great, and I made it very clear on the Discord: protect the gains, defend your gains, because it's so important that when you see a bit of a contradiction on time frames, particularly this moment was a contradiction on the daily and the 4 hour, the daily still had potential bearishness, while the 4 hour was looking good. And the reason why the 4 hour was looking good is because we got a V recovery, and we were forming a beautiful rounded bottom where we were breaking out. And on some of the altcoins, right, we did break out, and we did pretty good on a lot of the altcoins. Positions were in the green. I was up 60% on ICP, and a few others doing great. But as you can see, Bitcoin did come down. So it's important that when you see resistance and you see a bit of weakness and you see hesitation, that you defend your gains. And this is why it's also important to be part of a very strong community, because we can get each other's back, ultimately saying, guys, be careful out there, something's coming. At least in community, we get each other's back. So feel free to join. There's a link in the description. It's free. I don't ask for anything other than participate, get involved, get comfortable in this space, and that way you can be better prepared for what's to come. Now, given the fact that, I would like to comfortably say that maybe this V recovery rounded bottom Adam and Eve structure here on the 4 hour is pretty much invalidated. There's a little bit of hopium still that we get a bounce here and maybe continue this roundedness to the upside, which could happen. But the reality is, if we do not hold this thick yellow line, which, is pretty much close the 4 hour candle below, and now we're opening a 4 hour candle there. If we close this 4 hour candle below the white, it's likely that we're going to come down to about 92, maybe even a little bit lower, to touch these wicks and these bottoms here to hunt this liquidity. How many people have stop losses here? And the short bias right now, a lot of people are getting into shorts. But then you start to think the incentive, if a lot of people are going short, the incentive to get those shorts liquidated is quite high. And the market makers, the whales out there, are going to want to really make that happen. So we just, in my opinion, right now, trading is not a good thing to do. What I would be doing is just focusing on spot. Focus on spot. If Bitcoin comes down to 92, if you find any projects on a deep fire sale, buy a dip, buy 20%, buy a little bit, gain some of that exposure. Prepare for the worst case scenario. And again, it's falling below this level. And you can see the structure is beautiful. Now let's go on the oscillators here on the 4 hour, and you can see what I mean. Why yesterday it was looking great, and it's still kind of okay. But like I said, at this point, we were coming down, making lower lows and lower highs. And then all of a sudden we started getting this Uno reverse right here. And the volatility was looking really good to the point that we were pushing to the upside, and then rejection, come right back down. Guys, this is not very common, especially after leaving such extreme oversold conditions, to get such a reaction. And look how quick this was to the downside. Good news is the majority of the volatility is oversold, and we're done most likely here on the 4 hour, pushing down the majority. So maybe we do close the 4 hour candle above the thick white line and then continue to the upside. This could just be a news induced flush, right? And that is based on the Binance FUD. Okay, so that's something to consider. Now, we do see that we got a quick EMA cross here on the 4-hour, EMA cross to the downside with red histogram bars. It's not a good look. And we also see the expansion finally getting pale purple, which means that maybe the bears are coming back and the bulls are showing a bit of weakness here on the 4-hour. And it's in conjunction with what's happening on the daily. Like I mentioned, the daily looking oversold and now the 4-hour looking bearish. It means that maybe we are going to get oversold on the daily and prepare for further continuation down. Unfortunately, guys, this is the reality. We have to be prepared. Of course, up, down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. But the reality is that it does matter in a sense, because you need to be prepared. You need to have some capital. Without capital, you won't be able to take full advantage of this dip. And I just really want you guys to zoom out every once in a while and really see what Bitcoin is up to. Bitcoin is still bullish. Guys, nothing has changed here. Nothing. Look at this retracement. This is actually a better, nicer looking retracement than this one, since it's going sideways. It's not even retracing. It's literally consolidating here. And it might be consolidation where we get into some sort of symmetrical type of formation where we, definitely get a nice continuation to the upside. So this is still very bullish on the bigger picture, even on the daily. But when you start looking at where the daily time frame could take us for a dip, guys, hunting this liquidity would be really, really painful for a lot of people. Could it happen? 100%. Guys, prepare, head down, do the research, prepare, and those stables are going to be your friend at the current moment. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning the material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.